What up, man? Welcome. We live again. You know what I'm saying? For those that join us and watch it, after it's recorded, make sure you like, follow, subscribe. We appreciate y'all watching. So what's good with you, man? How's your week, man?
Man, busy, but it's awesome though. Life is good. Just celebrating the life of my daughter. I mean,
Yes, sir.
she had a solar orbit yesterday, so we celebrated that. But overall, man, hey, life is good.
Yes, it is. And happy belated birthday. I think it was yesterday, right, to your daughter.
Yes,
As always,
sir.
I'm fresh out the gym, so I'll be hot as hell. But let's talk on that, right? Let's talk on daughters and women specifically, right? And the red flags. And I got somebody that should be joining us. Hopefully, she'll be joining us. You know what I'm saying today. Um, if she don't, she don't. But I shot her a message.
Okay.
So, you know what I'm saying. This individual, and again, I'm gonna refrain from using her name until I find out if she wants to join or not, and let her speak for herself in that aspect. But this individual uh, is dating a man. They got pregnant, had a baby, or got pregnant, got engaged, had a baby, and you know what I'm saying. Kind of you would hope it goes that route, but it's over already, right? And the baby's fairly new, and so the individual reached out to me and said she took the ring back, right, or gave the ring back, excuse me, right, the engagement ring, and I thought that was a little bit concerning, right, because that means if you're giving your engagement ring back, the wedding is called off, and it was essentially they got to beefing about some misinformation, right? Misinformation being when some legal documents were presented, the information he had given her didn't match what he put on the legal document. One of those pieces of information being his physical address, right? So the place she'd been going to thinking is his home was not his home. Uh, and that led to them fighting, having a disagreement, and that disagreement then led to him basically along the lines of calling everything off, right? Like I don't want to deal with you in a relationship fashion. I'll deal with you through kind of the baby mama shit, right? And I'm leaving a whole bunch of shit out, hoping that she joins in, but I'm gonna go back and cover everything if she doesn't. Uh,
Okay.
and I did talk to her already. I'm like, hey, listen, if you join, great. If not, this is the topic, right? So it doesn't matter. But
Okay.
so we started talking about the red flags of the shit, right? Because I'm like, I'm confused on how you don't know certain shit about a person that you are sleeping with. One of the other pieces of information that was given out that was incorrect was he was a business owner, owned a construction company. Turns out he doesn't. He works for a factory, right? Again, nothing wrong with factory work. Not knocking it, but
Right.
that was some other shit. So we started talking about the red flags, right? The things that were ignored. First one was when she met him, he had a 2-month-old baby. Like that's a red flag, right? Because something happened in the last 2 months that kicked you out of, you know what I'm saying? Kicked you out of the relationship you were in. Uh, Not being a family oriented person was another one, right? Because she's like, hey, because I asked him like, do you ever you met anybody in his family, right? She's like, nah. He goes to my family get-togethers and gatherings, but he said he don't fuck with his family. And I explained to her at that point, as a man, and I know there's some differences, right? But as a man, typically, if we don't do our family shit, we're not doing your family shit either, right? Because from my perspective, if I'm not doing family shit with my family, there's some trauma there, right? Something is making me not fuck with my family. So fucking with yours, either I'm gonna be super dad, super brother, super uncle, and be all in because my shit was messed up, or I'm gonna be like, you know what, I ain't fooling with your family either. And being that dude don't, you know what I'm saying, he ain't super dad, right? We know that he had a baby from 2 months ago. Another red flag is he got 6 kids, right? So I'm just going down the list and I'm just like, man, all this shit is obvious red flags, right? The things that you obviously wanna avoid. Let me send her a link real quick so I can see if I can get her in. Because it's gonna be way better if we can talk to her about it, right? Versus me trying to you already smiles. Me trying to tell the story, right? And I wanna be respectful, right? In the aspect of you know what I'm saying, how it goes, right? We wanna keep it I don't wanna make it Hang on, let me send her. I don't know why that shit didn't go through, but I'm gonna send her this link. Give me a second here. Let me do it this way. Anyway, I want to be, I want to be respectful. I want to keep it. I want to, she was concerned. Oh, I don't want to get bashed and shit like that. I'm not gonna bash you. I'm like, we're just gonna keep it real, right? We're just gonna ask legitimate questions and give legitimate answers, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Let me grab this link again and go ahead and drop it in there, and then send it to her right now, and it's on the way. So it's sent. So when we see her pop in, we'll go ahead and add her.
Okay.
I see you. You all smiles over there. So shit's crazy, bro. Like, I will keep it real. Shit's crazy. I don't get it. And I was asking a lot of questions, right? And primarily, my questions were around, how did you not know? Like, how did you get here? Again, in her own, she's spoken about it already on the podcast. They had an abortion, right, the first time, and
Okay.
and did it again, right? So some of my questions were like, how did we get here? What part of not of the first part not working out, right? Mind you, dude said he didn't want no kids, right? He didn't want any more kids. So I mean, it was so much shit. And I did ask her. I'm like, let me ask you 100% honestly. Did you want to have this man's baby? Were you hard set on having this baby? She said no. So I asked her again because I thought to myself, that don't sound like the right answer. And I asked
Okay.
again. I said, this time I'm okay with you changing your answer. She stuck by the same answer. So I don't know, bro. I don't know. So she knows right from wrong, right? So that's what made me want to have this conversation today
Yep.
about. And I gotta give one of my homies, Brandon, some flowers, right? Because he be on it, be like, man, these chicks know right from wrong, and they still choose wrong over and over and over. And sometimes I be kind of trying to argue with him, but this is not one of the scenarios where I can argue with him, right? Point is, I'm like scorekeeper. If you got points due, I'm gonna give you a point. She 100% knows the right from wrong shit. We sat here. As a matter of fact, she sat right here in this goddamn studio and talked about how a lot of sisters make stupid ass decisions and this, that, and you know what I'm saying? So it's what can we do, bro? Like, how do we make sure we raise our children? This is not for me and you necessarily.
Okay.
This is for other men who might be checking this out or might see this and want to know, how do we protect, right, our children from making our daughters from making these mistakes.
Be better men and make better decisions in front of them.
100%, right? But what is that? Okay, so explain that if you don't mind. Like, help me understand. I'm trying to share some shit, so I'm just kind of trying to get it out there right now. But help me understand what when you say be better men and be better examples.
Right. So, I mean, it's scientifically proven that people are going to model what they see before what they hear in
True
terms
that.
of instruction, right? So when we're talking about children, so you can say, we're all going to tell our children the right thing, but they're going to mimic what they see you do.
So do what I say, not what you see, kind of thing. Don't it ain't going for us, right?
Not in the context of what we're talking about with this type of because when we talk about relationships, and then that's really the most important decision in your life. Really, is who you are going to attach yourself to as a mate. Who you choose as a mate, to me, has to be one of, if not the most important decisions that you're going to make in your life, right? Because it's going to literally determine most of the trajectory. So, in terms of our daughters, it's like we can say whatever we want to say, but if they're going to look at how we treat women, how we treat their mother, the level of integrity we have as men, if we are telling untruths in front of them, and then their mother or the woman we're dealing with is tolerating that, then that becomes their standard for men,
Right,
right?
right.
If we're not building nothing in front of them, then they're not going to have any expectations of a man. It's going to turn into this superficial shit that we got going on today, and you're going to find yourself in situations where you procreate irresponsibly. That's where we start at.
I was watching this podcast, and I never watched it before, and I can't remember the name of it, but I have to go back to it. It was a bunch of brothers it's like 10 brothers in a little panel, right? Everybody's in their own little space. All of them, I think, are their own podcasters. One of them was a DJ. Which was kind of weird to me. So I think it's probably somebody famous, but they were having a discussion about kind of men, women dating, all this other shit, and there was a lot of pushing blame on women and for specific actions, and everybody's responsible for their own. But one brother came on and he sounded like he was maybe Caribbean or somewhere else. He was like, men are responsible for the lack of women sticking to standards, and I was a little confused at first, so I listened to him, and they were talking dumb shit. Like there's like, I'd never date a chick with weave. I never dated a chick who wore fake eyelashes. I think some of that shit is kind of crazy, but everybody's got you have your standards, right? So this dude's listing off his standards, and then one of the guys, the dude, the island dude, he asked him, he said, "Man, what are your absolute requirements?" He's like, I'm not dating a single mom. I'm not dating a woman who wear weave, blah blah blah. And then so dude asked him, he pressed him, he said, "Man, if you met this perfect chick, right? She was physically what you wanted. She had the mindset and the behavior, and she had a baby. Would you fuck with her?" He said, "Well, yeah." In that instance, he said, "So you already folded on your standard." He said, we fold on our standard when we find somebody we list all this bullshit about who this woman has to be, right? And then when we find somebody who doesn't meet that standard, but we like her, we like, fuck all that shit I said."
Yeah.
And I was with him on that one, right? Because I've always looked at it like women were the kind of the standard setters because men like safe auto, right? We do whatever the bare minimum is. But I think in talking to him listening to him, bro was right. Right, but I don't want to make it about us because this was about women. So don't I venture off. I hold men responsible at the top. But
yeah, but I think
he had a valid point.
That's what I'm saying. Like when I say be better men in front of your children, it's like they're going to see that. They're going to see you set a standard, and that's going to be your standard too. If you hold me to a standard, that's going to be your standard too. So if you don't stick to your own standard in front of me, then why am I going to internalize the concept of setting a standard and adhering to it? Meaning that I want to know what a quality man, is supposed to be, and I'm going to set that standard. But then there are going to be things that they're going to be temptations, that come along with that. Those things, those variables that you can't really account for, and it's going to tempt me to overlook my standard. And all I'm going to have to revert to is the morals and principles that I was raised on. And if I was raised on, men having a firm standard, then I'm going to likely stick to that. Not all the time, but that's why I'm saying that's where we can start at. I don't think there's no 100% way to protect your children from making poor decisions across the board.
Right.
But the condition that we're in right now, whereas a lot of our women literally don't even develop those type of standards until after they've made several poor decisions. In which case you forced into making better decisions, if at all.
All right. So for these grown ass women, and maybe it's a loss, right? Maybe I'm overly hopeful, right? That a motherfucker can be saved who's unsavable. But we have a lot of women out here who are legit picking the wrong dudes, and I'm not a fan of like, hey, he's a good dude, he's got a job, this, that, and the other. You got to have attraction, all the other shit, but skipping the fucking red flags, is that something that we can? That can be seen and repaired in real time, meaning some of these women that are still doing this dumbass shit, is it just a loss? Like, is there anything that can be done? Do we as existing members of society, like, you know what, you did this dumb shit, we just done fucking with you. Yeah, like, we just gonna cut you out of everything.
No, we need to start being more judgmental.
More judgmental, right?
Yeah, we need to be, and we need to start being more judgmental in terms of like calling it what it is. And we have in our culture, in society, period, but specifically to our culture, we have this soft spot for our women, in which case we feel sorry for them and we don't chastise them the way that they need to be chastised for making very poor decisions. I'm talking about the ones that really can fuck lives up.
Right. 100%.
I'm not talking about human error. Like when none of us are perfect. I'm saying that when you make a decision that we know like this is fucked up, and this then we need to start talking about women in that way, just like we do it with men.
All day, every day.
We do. I mean, and I know it's different strokes for different folks. We don't have the exact, but I mean, certain things we should, as adults, as the elders in our culture, we have the same. The expectation should be the same in terms of making quality life decisions.
Right. Some
And
should apply to
so,
everybody.
yeah, and this is one of those things where, when there are red flags and then you bypass those red flags, which you have the right to do because you're an adult, when you do that and then the consequences come, we need to call it what it is. That was some dumbass shit. And we need to point to them women with our younger girls and say, hey, don't do the shit that she did. It's some dumbass shit.
Dumbass shit.
It is dumb, you know what I mean? And she has, ruined her life in terms of quality in a lot of
Quality,
ways, right?
100%.
Yeah, will it work itself out? Yeah, because everything does, but the consequences are forever. You know
I mean,
what I mean?
those are life altering
Yeah.
decisions, right?
It's no different than if I look at if it's this guy that you meet and he is a fuck up, then don't think you can fix him. No, he's a fuck up, and
100%.
that's just what it is. And she can be a fuck up.
You know,
Doesn't
and
make her a bad person. I'm just
it
makes
just
her a fuck up though.
it makes you a bad mate. You know what I'm saying? Like from a
Yeah,
relationship perspective,
a
you're a
poor
bad
choice.
pick.
A
Right. You're a
poor
bad
choice.
pick.
You
Right.
know, and what we always do? We not always, but a lot of times, then two poor choices choose to be together, and then hope
More poor choices come out of that shit.
stop. And we need to stop with this hopeful shit. You know what I mean? We need to stop hoping things work out because, or hoping things work that there is no reason why nothing that suggested it's going to work. Like, right, the red flags are there. A red flag is there. It's called a red flag for a reason.
Right.
Meaning it's literally a stop sign. Like, hey, don't do it.
And maybe that's what we need to fucking call it. Stop calling red flags and call them stop signs. Like, this is a fucking stop
maybe.
sign.
Maybe.
Right? Red flag
Yeah.
is like, hey, you should avoid that. But if you
Yeah.
don't, it's okay.
You're right. No, that makes sense what you're saying.
So
Yeah.
I'm gonna change my goddamn speech and stop calling them red flags
Man,
and call them
straight
stop
up.
signs.
Stop sign.
Right?
Oh,
Because
my
red
life.
flag is being treated like a yield sign. Like, hey, look both ways.
Yeah.
And if you think you can do it, go ahead.
You're
Bro,
right. That's crazy.
I posted on my regular Facebook page. It was this thing going around where women were proposing to men, and and again, I'm more the traditional type. You get on one knee, you ask a woman to marry you, but I'm not against the chick asking, right? But here's the thing: the chicks that were posting it all had multiple babies by multiple men, and they's like, "This shit is crazy. That's stupid." So I posted. I'm like, I can understand if you feel that way, but if you got babies by multiple people, this ain't the shit you're supposed to find crazy.
No.
Right. So I
actually-
had a chick comment and she said, well, that's not a traditional gender role. Women, men now want to be treated like women. So that's crazy to me. I'm like, traditionally, men don't walk into a family with other children present, multiple other children by multiple other people. Traditionally, right? Like the shit was crazy, bro. And I'm like, man, we've coddled a certain group of the community so much that the most crazy shit is now acceptable, right? And I'm just like, that shit don't make no sense to me.
Look.
And mind you, this is a motherfucker who is a single mom multiple times over. Most recent one being earlier this year or late last year, I can't remember what. Single mom from the start. There was no relationship, right? And I'm like, you are over fucking 40, right? How is this
That's
possible?
what I mean. That's what I mean when I say that we need to start being more judgmental, and we need to be okay with that. I'm talking about across the board, not just with women, but if we're talking, but we're not leaving women out.
Right.
You need to judge that as now you fucked up. You know what I mean?
Right.
You fucked up. I don't care how it works out. Those are not the choices that we need to be making, right? Like it's just not. And I'm gonna say something, and people might, it might piss some people
go
off.
how it
but
go. Feelings not
it is
included,
what
bro.
it is, right? When we talk about things like that, like women, getting on one knee and proposing, and people having a problem with it. Honestly, women that have made several poor choices in terms of having children, multiple children by multiple men, those are exactly the women that need to be doing that.
100%, bro. That's exactly where I was going with it. Like, y'all are literally saying this is a crazy thing to do. Meanwhile, you letting motherfuckers bust it wide open,
Yeah.
right? With no rubber, no nothing.
Yeah.
Having this baby, and that's acceptable.
Yeah,
There's people supporting you on this shit, but
That's what I'm saying.
You're
So, I'm not saying that you need to do that with any man that's gonna marry you, but I'm saying that the men that y'all want to marry you. I'm talking
you
about
have
the men.
to know who the fuck you are.
Okay, well then, if you want this man that does not have any liability, and really may not have any children, and is really because you can't afford any additional liability anyway. So it needs to be a
Man,
man with no liability, right? So you want him to assume the liability that you come with,
you better get out and ask that
then you
motherfucker,
need to
man.
beg this nigga. You know what I mean?
Right,
That's just what
bro.
it is.
You know, a lot of people ask me for relationship advice, and I had a white chick get me up. She's like, "Listen, I really want to marry my dude. I'm going to. We got some. She joined him, but somebody. Let me finish that. So I had a white chick get me up. She's like, "Man, I really want to marry this dude. Do you think it's good for me to get out on one knee and propose?" Or she didn't say one knee, but she said propose. I said 100% because he probably's not going to do it. You got some history, right? He fucking with you, but you got some history. So hey, let me bring her in real quick. Let me switch over real quick to the dynamic scenes, and then I'm gonna add her to this one. What's up? You wanna put your name out here? Or you wanna keep it just anonymous?
That's what I was trying to figure out too.
We can just roll like this. You know what I'm saying? I'm not gonna call you by your name. If you want to put your name out there, you put your name out there. Uh,
Okay.
man, where you at? It's loud as hell in your background. You driving down the street?
I actually am driving.
I can tell because I was like somebody out there. You in the whip. Um, so I started the story off right, and I did not use your name, but I was telling Despo kind of the situation that we talked and kind of what happened. You know, you reached out to me and told me you gave the ring back. We talked a little bit. You told me kind of the scenario, but I'm gonna let you talk, right? So run back through the situation that we talked about. Kind of give us the how it began. You know what I'm saying from the start and some of the red flags you skipped over. So hopefully some of these young ladies that might listen to this will kind of be on the same page and say, listen, I ain't making that same mistake.
Yeah. Ooh, I can't wait to get home. I met this guy 2.5 years ago. Can you hear me? Is it
Yep.
breaking up?
No, I got you.
Oh, okay. All right. So I met this guy 2.5 years ago. We've been dating, talking, um, blah blah blah. We started getting super serious after we encountered a few hardships together and separate, and noticed that each other pretty much had a level head. Um, as of recent, we had a baby, and the birth certificate is getting filled out. When we first met, he owned his own construction business. This is what he's telling me. I own my own construction business. I got the first one off the ground. It's successful. Now I'm just working on getting the second one off the ground, and blah, blah, blah. I've heard him while we've been on the phone together. I've heard him talk about, housework and things of that nature. I've actually had to have him come fix a few things inside of my house. Um, Long story short, we like I said, we had a baby, and on the I was wondering, the first thing first, the thing that caught my attention was his hours changed. He went from working during the day to working 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. So that, mind you, I'm already pregnant when these hours changed. I'm like, well, that's kind of awkward, a little off, because I'm like, most of the time, there's no construction being done between those hours unless it's being paid for by the state or whatever city.
Right, some street construction type shit.
Yeah, like, and I mean, I know he does. I know he's done a few pools, stuff like that. But I'm like, nothing to nothing to demand the hours you're working.
All right,
Um,
so let's just because I know we got limited time. I don't want to let's speed it up a little bit. So you and him, y'all had a baby recently, like
mhm,
the month of May, right?
yep.
Y'all not together.
No. He
How did we get here?
the birth certificate, the occupation where it asks you, what your job is. He wrote factory, and when I seen that, I was like, kind of like, I thought you said you owned your business. So, like, him working in the factory isn't a problem. I don't care. It's just the fact that I've been lied to for the past 2.5 years. I'm just now
So what
finding
was his
out.
response on that one?
Um, he looked at me and said, "Don't worry about it." And I was just like, "What?"
So what else on the birth certificate grabbed your attention?
Address.
Physical address.
Yep. The physical address that he marked down on the paper was not the address that I've been to. Come to find out, the address that I've been to is not his house. That
So
was
Whose house is it?
his brother's. It was his brother's house.
Okay.
So that
Now,
led
what
to a
if?
conversation. I'm sorry, go ahead. That's why I asked a lot of questions. I'll let you roll.
No, I'm just listening. And I'm like, well, what if he was reporting that he works at a factory and reporting a different address to protect himself?
Man, that's the same shit I said to
Like,
that's the same shit I said, bro. It
yeah,
sounded to me like he didn't want to be found by the child support court.
right. So he could in fact still own construction companies, but don't want to put that, don't want to report that at the, at the hospital or whatnot, or on the birth certificate because
But in the
you
same breath, it still wouldn't demand. Like, I know he goes to work overnight, so the construction company, whatever construction company he says he has, is not overnight. Like I said, I've talked to this man during the day back when we were fresh, and that's when he was working, was during the morning.
So let me ask you this: can you call him during his factory job at night?
I can text.
Okay.
We he doesn't he's not allowed to be on the phone.
So let me tell you what, because I thought about this a little bit. That's a great thing to say if I got a chick I'm fucking with, right? I'm unavailable between 9 p.m. and 6 a.m. or whatever that time frame is, right? You can text me because my phone's on do not disturb, right? But I can't talk. I'm just giving you my thoughts, right? Because that was a sudden change, right? But so the job don't line up, the house don't line up. How did y'all get to the point where the separation occurred, right? What was that situation? Oh, we just lost her. I don't know. I'm gonna see if she jumped back in. I know she's driving, so well, hang on. Let me see if she jumped back in. We'll see if she jumped back in. We lost her.
okay.
And I'm gonna continue, right? Because you asked the exact same shit I asked, which was, or you said essentially the same thing. 'Cause that's what came to my mind. Like, oh yeah, she's reconnecting right now. Are you good?
Yeah, sorry, I dropped
It's all
signal.
right. That's all right. Shit happens. So
But you
so
can text. The last thing I heard was that's what I say. If I have a chick, you can text me between
right, if I
9 and 5.
got a chick and I don't want to be bothered during a certain time frame, right? Why
Hmm.
not say, hey, I'm working these hours, I can't talk, right? You can text me, you can do all that shit. I put my phone on D&D, I'm straight, right? You know what I'm saying? My girl that I'm with from 9 to 2 or 9 to 5 or whatever that shit is in the morning, ain't bothered. So that's just kind of, it seems a little weird to me, right? But so how did y'all get to the breakup, right? To the returning of the engagement ring.
When I was the day we got released from the hospital after having her, I pretty much brought up like the address and was like, so what's up with that? Like the factory, and pretty much made it very clear to him, like, I'm not judging on these things, but I'm just wondering, like, who the fuck did I just have a kid with? Because this is not, like, you aren't, like, your paperwork isn't matching to who you say you are. And he basically was like, well, I mean, if this is how you're going to act, maybe we shouldn't be together. And
So 48 hours, within 48 hours of baby being born, he's out the door, essentially.
yep, basically, he looked at me and was like, I would prefer, honestly, if she came and lived with me. And I was like, yeah, that's a no. Um, made that, I guess he
And
pretty much.
why is that a no? Just out of curiosity, right? Because we a lot of times we hear a lot of women say, "Well, men need to take care of the babies," right? You know what I'm saying? Is there a reason? Because you have other children. Granted, I understand that you want to keep your children together, but help me understand from a perspective of somebody on the outside, right? What makes you say no? Is he not a good dad? Like, is he not a good person to raise a kid, or you just want to have your kid with you?
Um, Part of it is I just want to have my kid with me, and then two, you just told me that the house that I've been visiting is not your house. So where would my kid even stay?
I
And
guess
then
you got a point.
when I asked, like, okay, well, where would she be? Like, for visitation purposes, I was like, you can visit her, like, you can come pick her up. I don't care. I'm not gonna stop you from being a dad. I'm like, but where is she gonna be? And he was like, with me. And that was as much as I got. Like, that was the answer I got. And I'm like, yeah, no, because I was like, you're asking if she can live with you. I'm confused. Like, I don't understand. You know where I live. Like, you know where your daughter is. So if she comes to live with you, I'm just not allowed to know where she is.
All right, before
Just
I know you got
it's
some questions,
just
fam.
not just I just well, I just have an observation more than anything at the moment. It just seems like some very drastic decisions were made within like minutes that affects a child's entire life. I just this is observation, so I don't have much of an opinion yet. I'd like to hear more before I even form an opinion.
So I guess where I'm at, right, with the whole thing, I'm trying to understand. So you have a child by a man that you truly don't know where he lives, right? You don't know what he does for a living. His name matched on the birth certificate with first and last, what you thought was his first and last, right? That's true.
Yeah, that
Okay.
part is true. The
And
name.
that's the extent of essentially what you know about him, right? Like from where you are right now, right? You found out you
Yep.
didn't know a lot of shit.
Yep. I know his name and his birthday.
So, can you give a little bit of background of like, what your relationship is like as it relates to how y'all interact with each other's family? Like,
Um, he does not fool with his family at all. From what he told me, I spoke to his brother quite a few times. In the past, of course. The only event that I went to was his nephew's basketball game,
mm-hmm.
um, which of course was his brother's son, and he went out for drinks after. Um, Family gatherings and stuff like that he didn't go to. He would come to my family's, gatherings and things like that. But it would be like certain family members. Like he didn't come to every single one, but if my brother was there, then he was there.
Right. So, did you, at any point, did you think that you should have like maybe examined more closely what the reasons were for him not having dealings with his family?
I mean, yeah, I asked. That conversation came up earlier in our like relationship because I'm I don't really talk to a lot of my family either. So I kind of asked like, are you family oriented? Like, and he's like, well, the family I create, and I'm like, oh, okay. He's
Have
like, I
you
do talk to.
excuse me, have you met his other kids or kids' mamas?
I have not met his other kids' moms. I have not met his other kids. I met his oldest daughter, but that's it.
How is she grown or close to grown?
She's 15.
Okay. So
Yeah, she's
when
15.
he's family oriented with the family he creates, does he do a lot of events with them that you're not invited to? Like, what's that family orientation? He's family oriented in what way? Right? He said the ones he create. Is he always
Like,
doing stuff with the family?
like he takes his daughter out to dinner and stuff like that. Like, basically shows her how he says he needs to show his daughter how to be treated like a young lady or a young woman. Like growing up, of course, like you go out to eat, you get wine and dine, and then you pretty much that's like his mindset, I guess, on how she's to be treated when in public. Like you get doors open for you, express yourself, speak your mind, be respectful, things of that nature. So he does do
So
things like that.
he's
I
teaching her how to go on a date, right?
basically.
Like I want, right. So what about the? I guess let me get to the part. What are some of the red flags? Or we go know what? Stop. We're gonna stop calling
Yeah.
them red flags. Oh, go ahead,
How
Desmo.
long? How long were y'all together?
2.5 years.
Okay. So in 2.5 years, you only met one of the children.
Yep.
And I'm only asking that, I'm only clarifying that because when we talk about his claim that he's family orientated, but he's outside of you meeting his one of his children, at how was he able to model that or demonstrate that for you to be able to see that he is family orientated over 2 years, 2.5 years?
Oh no, I didn't see it. That was what I asked him, and he responded with the family I create. So I've seen him, take his daughter out and do like what is that, the canvas things with his oldest daughter. I've seen him take his other daughters to like father. Well, I didn't see him, but I
I
saw
was
the
gonna ask
picture.
about the seed. Okay, so
Yeah,
he told you he
I,
did it.
yeah. He told me he did the the canvas, which is that, and then I seen pictures of that and the father daughter dances that he went to a couple for the 2 years that we were together, which was nice. I was like, oh, okay, cool. I see what you doing. I've seen the pictures of him teaching his sons, how to hunt and how to pretty much like survival mode, basically.
So
That
I guess we're I'm lost because you guys were together for 2.5 years, but you live in different cities, right? There's an
yeah,
hour and a half difference between y'all in location,
yep.
right? And I asked you earlier, what was the plan? Was he gonna move here? You gonna move there? And you said, hey, y'all try to kind of look at something in the middle and try to move together. Do you think that shit was even a realistic option for him? Was it where he just talking shit?
At this point, I'm like, yeah, he was just talking.
So let's we had this conversation earlier. You and him had unprotected sex, obviously, right? You
Hmm.
were pregnant before, and that didn't work out. Um, I guess what I want to try to help relay and get people to understand is how how can we help other women avoid these? We're gonna call them stop signs. I'm done calling them red flags because we run red flags over, right? We just go around them and shit. So let's list some of the stop signs from the beginning. Shit that you saw was like, man, in hindsight, right? Because hindsight is 2020, right? In hindsight, what are some of the things that you look at now, like, man, I should have not fucked with him because this, and this.
First date. First date. We went for drinks and played pool. Of course, you ask the basic questions. Do you have kids? He said, yeah. I said, how many? He looked and was like, 6. Once he
We say
said that,
looked. Wait, he looked at you, or he had to look up how many kids he had.
no, like he looked at me with
Okay.
like he looked at me with that
Like
face,
like
like,
brace yourself, like brace yourself.
yeah, like get ready for this number.
Yeah, I know. Like, yeah, all right.
Um, yeah, so he said 6, and I looked, and I was like, oh, okay. How old is your oldest? And at that point, he told me, I think she was like 12 or 13. She had just had a birthday, and I was like, well, how old is your youngest? The 6 was what should have been a red flag.
Wait,
When I
how
when I
many kids
asked
do you
him
have
how,
though? How many kids
me,
do you have without his
I have 4 without his.
at that point? Okay. So
Yeah,
why is the 6 for him a red flag, but not the 4 for you not a red flag? Or is
because
that
two of mine came from my marriage.
okay?
So I was married, and when I asked him, he had never been married. And it's not even the fact that you have 6 kids; it's how many women you have 6 kids with. Now, how many women you have 7 kids with?
How many baby mamas does he have, including you?
I make 5.
So he had 4 baby mamas and 6 kids. Okay. So those
And
some of
you
the
what? And you are yours? You have what? 2 and 2, like, uh, or
Yeah, four and 2.
4 kids, 2 baby daddies.
right?
Yeah,
Yeah, that's what I meant. That's what I meant.
without him.
Right. Okay.
Oh shit! I just realized that put you in the 3 baby daddy category.
Yeah,
No, I'm not saying it like that. Like it just
I'm
registered, right? Because
No.
officially, I'm
that's a
officially graduated.
that's a different space. So
Definitely.
continuing down the this is all day one, right? This is date one, right? So you saw the stop sign about the number of babies, the stop sign about the number of baby mamas, the stop sign about the age of the youngest baby.
Involved in each other's lives until like 3 months after we talked. Like before then, it was just like shooting the shit. Like he talk about work, I talk about work,
Where
talk
did
about
y'all
fun
meet?
shit. Internet, Facebook.
Facebook date.
Mm.
No, not Facebook dating. We were Facebook friends.
So y'all were Facebook friends, and he reached out and was like, "Hey, let's hang out." And like, I'm just, did you look through his Facebook to see who the fuck he was friends with? Right? Like, I wonder if his baby mama's here. What kind of
But
shit he posted?
he from a different city though, right? Is that that's what I'm
Yeah, he's
hearing?
from a different city. I think we had like
Same
4
state is same state or it's different state?
different states.
Yeah, that does
Yeah,
make it a little
I
bit
think
challenging.
if I'm not mistaken, I think we had like 4 mutual friends, and we like only one of the girls I actually talked to. And when I knew her, I was like, oh, let me see if she knows anything about him. And when she looked him up, she was like, I don't even know who that is or how he's on my friend list. I was like, oh well, shit. So I didn't have much to go off of.
So I'm assuming y'all had unprotected sex from the start, knowing he's got a bunch of baby mamas, right?
Yeah, we
Y'all,
did. Oh, get tested, thing.
no, and that's cool, right? I think everybody should do that part, but I
Yeah.
think that part should come down the road,
But
right?
you definitely knew y'all was practicing to have a baby. Basically, you knew
I
that part.
mean, that's not. That should be the number one thing that's on a person's mind when you're having sex, but that's not being realistic. It's not like, oh yeah, we're gonna practice to make a baby. We're gonna do this unprotected, and if we get pregnant, we get pregnant. It
I mean,
was
but
like,
we know that's how you get pregnant, right? Because you've been pregnant 4 times
well,
prior.
yeah, we know it's how, but it's like, okay, cool. We got preventative measures. We have Plan Bs. We got, you know, birth controls and methods. Like, we got other shit that's going on to where it's like, all right, even though we are doing this unprotected, we shouldn't have any hiccups, basically.
I mean that's well, we know that, right? We know that was some bullshit, right? And that's what I had said earlier. Like I don't understand. It has to feel amazing to a woman to have natural sex with a man because the shit y'all as a woman risk pregnancy, getting left with a man, all that like that's insanity to me, right? Like to do that. Like, even I got told you earlier, so me and my wife had a baby when I was 18. At that point, we came up with a solution on not having another baby until we were financially ready and able to do so. Right? So at 18, I knew, okay, I can't do this shit again. I know fucking raw leads to having babies. Right?
Yeah.
And y'all had, correct me if I'm wrong, you already had a pregnancy or two scare, right? I'll use the word scare and let you talk on that to whatever extent you want to talk to. So
Yeah, we already had two pregnancies.
so it's not like you don't know.
Hold on, you said two?
Yeah. First one I aborted, second one we miscarried.
Were the if it had it not been a miscarriage, what was going on? Were you planning to carry it full term?
The first one,
Yeah, I know you aborted the first one. I'm saying the
yeah,
second
no,
one.
I'm saying as far as like how we got here. The first one, I slipped up, didn't get to Plan B in time. I was like on some other shit. Like my life was just out of order. The
Hmm.
second time, when after we got the abortion, I got on birth control.
Okay.
So it was like, okay, cool. And then when we found out, like, shit, we're like, how, like even he was pissed off because he was like, well, I thought you were taking measures, and I'm like, I am on birth control, blah blah blah. Get your school clothes. Um, Pretty much. Where was I at? Oh,
So you
no.
said you know
So
you were on
long,
birth control.
yeah. So long story short, like once we found that out, it was like, no, like we're not even ready for this. We wasn't even trying for this.
Right.
So
So I'm saying that I know you say you miscarried it, but I'm saying like even after it was like okay, even though we took preventative measures, this still happened. Was the plan to carry that one full term, or were you going, and you just happened to miscarry it, or you were going to you were considering maybe abortion in that situation as well.
uh, abortion, the latter, abortion in that one as well. But
I mean, but knowing that you went 2 for 2, right? Like nothing made you think, okay, this motherfucker is shooting mad strong sperm, right? Like
at no,
bro out here with bull nut. You know what I'm saying? Like he's a breeder,
On me,
right? He's a breeder. Like he got 6 already,
clearly, he
and
clearly,
he shoot
yeah,
the club up, and everybody get it. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
nothing.
microwave. It's 9:30. It's time for bed.
Nothing registered like I probably should like this motherfucker hit do some anal or something. You know, you got to cut him off, cut the vag off from him because bro got a strong, he got a strong game. He create life. Like I just said it that way. You know what I'm saying? He's like nothing made you want to say, okay, bro, you got to cover this up. You got to put tape on the tip, something. You know what I'm saying? You got to cover the hole. I mean,
Well, I guess my question is this though, like, okay, what was the determining factor in like I'm going to have this one as opposed to the other two? What made y'all decide that we're going to go through with this one, this third one?
We didn't. I did.
Okay, okay,
When first when we found out, I was 11 weeks. So when we found out, it was late. Now, mind you, a lot of people think Plan Bs stop you from getting pregnant or terminate the pregnancy. What Plan Bs do, which I learned this at my doctor's office, is it pushes your ovulation back. I am not one of those women that just know off top exactly when I ovulate. I don't know. So when I popped the Plan B, I'm thinking, okay, good, we're clear. Had a cycle August, had a cycle September, missed my cycle in October. Life shit came up because we were going half on the abortion. At that point, it was 470. He told me that I could have called him and he would have paid for it. When I tried to schedule, like reschedule the original appointment, it was like 3 weeks out, if I'm not mistaken, 2 or 3 weeks out. Well, that price went up from 470 to 615 because at that rate I would have been 16 weeks pregnant. And I was like, I can't do it. I can't do it now. That's too far along. It's an actual kid in here.
Now, I'm with you on that one. That one I can't argue with, right? Because you got baby bump and you feeling shit.
Yeah. So
But what was his take on having children with you from the start? Right? He's like, hey, let's build a family, let's create a family. I got 6, I want 8. You know, what was his stance?
no, he made it very clear he did not want more kids and he did not want any with me.
At what point did he say that? Like, was that early on, or is that after you got pregnant the first time?
No, the first time I got pregnant, he was super compassionate. He just made it very clear that he wasn't ready for more kids at that moment in time, and neither was I. You know, he literally drove down here to sit on my front porch and cry and say he just was not ready right now to have more kids. Maybe in the future, blah blah blah. And I was like, well, we're on the same page. I don't, I'm not saying that I'm gonna keep it. Like, I was just calling you to, let you know, like I didn't want it, but I am, like, I'm gonna need help with the abortion money. I shouldn't have to do it all by myself.
How old is he?
37.
Okay. So he's 37. He's got 6 kids by 5 chicks. He didn't
Seven.
want
Seven.
7. Was it 7 by 6 women now, or like? I'm talking about when you met him, right? When y'all started dating, he was
Oh yeah. No,
okay.
because he has
So
six kids. He only has 2 with one baby mama. So
6 and okay. So he had, I don't know. I'm not mathing right now, but so he had a gang of baby mamas and a bunch of kids, and he said he didn't want any more. Y'all had the the abortion, and then you got pregnant again,
yeah,
and unfortunately miscarried, and y'all kept fucking raw, right? Like at what point did you say to yourself, man, I probably should not do this with this dude, or
uh,
did it ever happen?
it did not ever happen.
I asked this when we had our phone conversation. I'm gonna ask it again, and I'll give you the opportunity to give me a different answer.
Do you want me to lie?
I want you to tell the truth, and so I'm gonna ask that question again because it's from my perspective. A man, I'm giving you man perspective. He says, I do not want to have kids with you, right? I have enough kids, I don't want any more. Yet you still continue to have unprotected sex without saying, at least to him, hey, listen, you may not want to have kids, so we need to do this in order to avoid them. Pull out, goddamn it, put a condom on, electric tape over the tip, whatever the solution is that we should probably do. Like the reason I asked because it sounds to me like you really wanted to have his kid in order to potentially make him be a better man, right? Because if you didn't, one time, cool shit happens. Twice, sometimes shit happens twice. 3 times, this is effort going into this, right? And what I mean by that is everybody's different. I have 2 children with a woman I've been with for over 3 decades. That not having 30 kids or 20 or 16 takes desire and effort, right? Because the process of having a bunch more is the same as having the first 2, right? So I'm at what point? It just seems to me like you wanted to have his kid. I'm not saying that to knock you. I'm just saying like he's not going to be responsible. You notice because he's not taking the steps. So you either have to cut him off or you have to take the steps to protect your womb, right? That's what I'm at. Why was that not ever to you an option? It's like, you know what? He's not going to do right, so I got to do right. I'm not gonna cut him off, but I'm gonna make him put on a condom or get snipped or whatever he want to do because he's just, whatever, right? Like, help me understand that one. That's what I'm struggling with.
I mean, we had that conversation after we miscarried the second time because, like I told him, I mean, we got lucky this time, which he said the same thing. I'm like, we got lucky this time. Like, even having an abortion takes a toll on a woman's body. I'm like, I don't want to keep going through that. So we talked about condoms. He didn't want to wear them.
Mm.
We talked about him. I'm like, can you like pull out possibly? Like we can, well, this is explicit, but I'm
No, you
like,
being
I'm like, even when you're about to come, just tell me. I'll get up and I'll give you head the rest of the way. Like I don't care. Like we can do something else. And he said that would probably work, but I guess the sensation just feels really good to him. He craves that sensation to just go inside. I guess nut inside of a bitch.
but I mean, listen,
Like I said,
shit
I'm
feels
not a man,
amazing.
so I can't answer.
I'm not finna sit here and bullshit you. The difference is it feels amazing, right? Like I can't lie, but it does not feel good enough for me to have a lot of kids, right? Um, so I don't know. Like I look at the situation and you were with him for 2.5 years and you were a single. I'm gonna call it. We'll say he made you a single mom within 48 hours of having the baby, right? Have y'all talked since the breakup? Like, has he been back to see the baby since the breakup? Like, what's his behavior?
Um, Today he was supposed to come pick her up. He was demanding, not demanding, but he asked me what time was good, and I was like, "Well, what time do you want me to have her ready?" And what time are you bringing her back? Because he was just gonna come pick her up and take her and then bring her back. And his response was, "You tell me." Now the one thing with me is I don't feel comfortable limiting parenting. Only thing that you can't do is spend the night with her, and that's because I'm pumping just enough to where she eats. The girl
Right. I
was
mean, that makes sense.
like she hasn't had formula since we left the hospital, so that would be kind of stupid for you to buy her formula and try to put her back on it. That's the only thing. I don't care if you wanted to come pick her up at 9 this morning and you didn't want to bring her back until 4. Just let me know the way I can try to get out as much milk pumped as physically possible. Um, And if you run out of milk, then shit, you'll have to bring her back, or you can come back and get some more milk, whatever, situation occurs. Or I can bring the pump down there
So
and I can hurry a pump and then I can come back home.
where's
But
down there, right? Because you don't know where he lived, right?
yeah,
So
pretty much.
where was he gonna take her?
He said with me.
But that didn't happen.
No, because I didn't give him a time. And to him, if I don't give him a time, then that means I don't want her to come. And I'm like,
I mean, yeah, I guess I
it,
would have just threw out a time: 7 a.m., 8 a.m., 9 a.m. Just shit, throw a time out, right? So you can schedule because, and I know, look at shit different, right? But I would put a time on it so you can work around it, right? Because you got shit to do today or every day, right? We all do in some form or fashion. So I would anticipate putting putting a time on it. So again, just a quick recap. So you dated the dude for 2.5 years. You guys lived in different cities. You had essentially two pregnancies, and the third one created a baby. You broke up within 48 hours of the baby being born. Um, he wanted the baby to live with him, which you didn't, and I understand completely, especially if you breastfeed and he can't breastfeed, right? That's just and with the distance, it's not like you can pump enough and give it to him and he'd be straight for a week. Um, we
Let's can we let's I mean not in this with all due respect, I don't mean to interrupt, but I want to talk about the mistakes. Like
yeah, let's do that. Yeah, let's do that.
let's focus on where the mistakes were, starting as far as back as we want to start. If y'all been dating for 2.5 years, to me, there's a lot of things that I'm sure now can see that, yeah, I probably should have responded to this or not ignored this. What would you say those things are?
um, he was very honest at first, other than the job and shit. He made it very clear. said my weakness is new pussy.
Mm.
Oh
He
man.
said this to you.
Yeah,
What
and I
okay,
was like,
what is that? What did you ask what that meant,
I
or how
mean,
did
we
you
know what
what
that means.
yeah. I
no,
mean,
no, no,
I
no.
mean, I asked him to clarify it
My
because I
bad,
was
my
like,
bad.
I'm saying no, I'm saying like for okay, if I me as a man, I'm thinking like that can mean when I meet somebody and this is new, or you know, any opportune situation can be new pussy. You know what I'm saying? So is it just random, or is it just whenever he meets somebody new and he like how did you take it to what did you take it to mean?
um, pretty much kind of how I was at that point in time. I was new. I was like pretty much a shiny toy. Like,
So where's the weakness come in at? Like what does he mean by that's his weakness? If y'all into each other and y'all you know
in so many words, basically, monogamy was not a thing he was looking for in the beginning.
okay okay
Yeah,
all right
like
and you understood it to be that.
yeah,
Okay, may I ask why you chose to disregard it in any way?
because at first I wasn't looking for it either. I'm like,
Right.
shit, we just talking. I don't
R-
care. You know what I'm saying? Like, do what you do. I mean, if that's your
But
thing.
even if you even if y'all gonna be interacting like having unprotected sex, that doesn't matter.
I mean, I made it very clear to. I was like, well, I mean, you got to remember when me and him first started. Yeah, I brought up the testing, but he also seen it through. Like, he made it a point. Like, yeah, no, we're really gonna get tested. And I'm like,
Right, but
oh,
getting
well,
tested that's for that moment in time. But if the very
Right, you got
next
to test it
day,
every week. God damn it, if
every
you
day, if for that
bet.
matter to
uh, so when he said it, I wasn't looking at it as so you finna fuck a bitch every single week. No,
right.
he there's like a process to him. Like he still takes you out on dates. Like there's still a dating thing. Like it's not, oh, okay, well, I met a bitch last night in the club and I fucked her.
Right. I get what you're
Like,
saying. I mean, you are giving them benefit of the doubt, but I mean, I get what you're saying. But even okay, so at that point, he told you this. That's one of the things you disregarded his admission of not being interested in being monogamous. Okay, and you saying the reason why you did not respond to that accordingly is why.
because I wasn't looking for it either.
Right. Okay.
Like
Um,
we were kind of like I was still kind of dabbing with my old fling a little bit. Like we wasn't having sex at that point anymore, but I was still, pulling up over there, seeing if he was all right. He would still pull up where I was,
what was the
like,
reason for that?
because he's my best friend, basically, in so many ways. Like, not like, oh, he's my best friend, I can take him around my new relationships. Like, no, like this is the guy that I talked to. He'd been telling me from jump that Buddy wasn't no good, so he was
wait,
like,
wait,
okay,
wait. Your ex told you new dude wasn't no good.
yeah,
I
What?
also told you because we had that conversation, right? You was like, "Hey, I want you to meet." I'm like, I avoided the shit, right? I didn't feel like dude was right. I mean, I even told you a couple times this don't sound right to me, right?
yeah.
So you knew right from wrong. You had two different men in your ear, at least two different men in your ear, telling you this ain't the dude.
But you
What
got to
made
remember, one of them I slept with.
right?
But you said he was your best friend though.
Right,
So
he's
Yeah, but I'm like, okay, are
right.
your intentions
Okay,
pure in you telling
so
me
you right.
this, or are you telling me this because you want me to
I'm
just
with you.
stay with you?
We
but if
ain't
he
fucking
told
though, right? We ain't fucking, and me and him got the same advice.
Yeah, me and you not. Yeah, no.
Right. So we got the same advice. Like, and you knew, right, the stop signs you skipped over. So, I mean, did you just be like, yeah, it's probably not right. I don't give a fuck. Though I'm going anyway. Like, what help me understand? Because the whole point of this whole conversation is for us to be able to hopefully have some young lady or some man listen who has a daughter to say, listen, this is why you shouldn't do this. Like, what was the driving decision or the driving force behind you saying fuck everything I know that's right, and the people that's telling me this dude ain't him, but I'm still gonna do it. Like what was it? Was it? And you can be honest. If the dick was that good, the dick was that good. You know what I'm
I
saying?
mean,
Like
yeah, it was that too, but it's still feelings and emotions. It's like, okay, I've already invested this much time in it, and now we're talking more serious to where, like, there wasn't many nights he wasn't here or I wasn't there, thinking that that was his house.
Wait,
There
so
wasn't
let
many.
me ask that. How many times you just give me a round number that have you been to where you what you thought was his house?
Oh God, I can't answer that.
Okay, so it's more than 20.
Yeah, way
But
more.
so what? How when you say you thought it was his house, what was outside of you going there? Him saying it like was it not obvious that it was does his brother was not there
No,
or
his brother was never there when I went. I'd go stay the night, and then of course, like during school seasons, I have to be back here to where I can wake up. Wake up my kids, get my little cousin where back to her house so she can get ready to go to school. Because my little cousin's 17, so she still goes to school. But I'm like, hey, I need you to come over, spend the night at my house. I'm gonna go spend the night down here. So I would leave from there between 4 and 5, so I could get back here in enough time to get my kids up, ready to
What
go to school, get her back to her house.
let me ask this question
And,
real quick. Hold on. What time would you get to his house?
between like 9 and 10 at night.
Now that 9 to 5 shift he working right now, that shit don't sound like 9 to 2 a.m. or 9 to 5 a.m. Whatever that shit is. Don't kind of sound like, man, maybe that's his move, right? He tell a chick that he fucking with, I work 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. and then he take the chick he smashing and spend the night with her from 9 to 5 a.m. Because this shit sound like he got a smooth plan. Like I don't know this dude, but I'm like this motherfucker got he got a process.
But those also weren't like, his times of, well, can you be here at 9? That was just the time that I could get there.
Right, right.
yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like his sound.
I'm not
I mean,
even.
it could be.
I don't think I'm not
I
even me personally. I'm not interested in that part of his business as much as I am. I'm trying to figure out where can we identify the missed opportunities to avoid where we are now. So so you all right. You had decided you had grew feelings for this person, so you decided, okay, I'm now. It's not just. I am now looking for something serious, and y'all continued, y'all move forward in dating. What other things did you see or experience that was clear signs that hey, I should have this is not a good it's not good. You know what I mean? What else?
um, the way he started talking to me went from calm and collected to outbursts. Like,
Hmm.
At what point did that start? That's post baby, post pregnancy. When did that start?
Yeah.
that was like right when we found out I was pregnant with her. That all of a sudden now you're yelling
This is the
at me.
third
Yep.
pregnancy,
Yeah,
or okay.
yeah. No, I mean, because you got to remember, before her, we were on one accord with not having any kids together.
Right.
So there was no reason for him to get loud or yell at me or cuss me out or, I he still has not called me out of my name. I can say that.
I listen. You can call me a bitch, a punk, all this, but just don't dip out on the baby. You know what I'm saying? Like the
Right.
words is the minimal part, in
So
my opinion.
just to make sure, you're saying that so it was after the baby that obviously yeah, he wanted to I guess abort that one as well, but you for your personal and health reasons you decided you're going to keep it, and after that that's when the temperament changed.
Exactly.
Okay.
That was when I guess, no, not even I guess. That was when the disrespect started. Like,
What give me an example of what disrespect looked like if you don't mind.
um, back when, before her, if we had like an argument or a disagreement, first off, let's just say we're at my house. We're at my house. My kids are here. There is no such thing as the kids knowing we're arguing. Like he's talking. He looks at you and he tells you like I'm really pissed off, but I don't wild out in front of kids.
Okay.
And I'm like, okay, I can fuck with this, but why? And we go into his reason as to why. If I felt like okay, I was wrong, but in the same breath, like I told him, if it's your perspective, you're right off top because your perspective is fact, mine is fiction. Like in your eyes, it will always be that way. Um, so if I felt like I was in the wrong, I would definitely apologize. If I felt like I wasn't, then I would try to open a gateway to like, okay, well, I didn't see it that way, I saw it this way. Versus after her, it was just outright yelling. Like, I said, I don't want no kids. I'm not in the right spot right now to have kids. I don't want none with you. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm just looking at him like I haven't even told my kids that I'm pregnant yet. And here you are screaming down my fucking, like right in my face.
Oh,
How
in front of
you
the
don't want,
kids.
yeah, like now I'm like, well, shit. And then it goes from like, okay, of course, back then when we get into it, he's not finna sleep on no couch. He's sleeping in the room. Like that's even though he's pissed off, he's not finna go and sleep inside of a different room. After I got pregnant, now all of a sudden you're sleeping on the couch, and my oldest is walking downstairs like, "Mom, why he on the couch?" And I'm
All
just
right.
like,
So let's back up a little bit before, because I can kind of understand like after you decide you're gonna have it, then things get a little they change. But before then, before this the third one, were there no other signs that this wasn't really a quality relationship?
um, I want to say, yeah, I'm overlooking. I overlooked a lot just
What are
because
those things that you overlook?
um, finances.
Example, what do you mean when you say finances?
Um, so I'm not a really heavy smoker. Like I don't smoke at all.
Mm-hmm.
If I would call him and ask him like, hey, like in the beginning when we were first like dating, talking, all of that, he would send me the money to get down there. Like he would literally zell the money. Like here's, this much in gas, the way you can make it here and make it back home. And then slowly but surely that started to trickle off. It went from him paying for all of my gas to him going to half, here's, this much. And I'm like, okay, well that'll get me there, but it won't get me home.
Mm-hmm.
And then it stopped.
So did you address that?
I asked, and he said that that is on me because why do he have to fill up my truck and his?
This is pre-pregnancy.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what she's saying.
Okay. Um, I don't know.
And what and
I'm gonna
then
let you talk, fam.
what was your response then? If he responded like that, what was your you ain't even got to tell me what your response to him was. What are your thoughts at that point?
Um, I was like, well, I mean, I guess that makes sense in a way. I proposed a different idea and was like, well, how about this? If I ask if I can come see you, or if I ask can I spend the night with you, then I pay for the gas. But if you request me, then you pay for the gas because I'm not going to be paying for gas to get to and from there. Like, bro, it takes at least 50 to fill up my truck, and that's what it takes for me to get there and back home.
Right.
It's
So me
not
personally, me personally as a father, I would definitely instruct my daughter like if you're going to see a man, then he should definitely be able to sponsor that entire trip.
100%.
Like, and if he can't, then you need to really reassess even your interest in him at all. You know what I mean? Because if he's that interested in you, he shouldn't have a problem with it unless y'all have an agreement based on each other's circumstances that I mean it's just not possible. But in that case, y'all really don't have any
Right.
business.
Probably not a
So
really. Yeah.
so I'm just okay. So we got him off the top saying that he wasn't really interested in monogamy, which I don't even think that's a deal breaker. Like
Nah,
he
that's
really
that's
he was
how
being
he
honest.
feels. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But when you notice the things about the finances changed up, okay, what else? What else did you see? That
the
that you there's a clear sign because I mean this the finances thing that could be debatable. In all fairness, it could be debatable,
the
but
respect level.
even before the final pregnancy.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. Can you give me an example of that?
Um, let me see what we stopped going on dates like all together. Like,
Okay.
and when I asked him why don't we go on any dates anymore? We're getting to the point where we literally come, we fuck, and then I go home. Like, starting to feel a little weird. And he said it was because I don't respect him enough for him to take me out in public.
What the fuck does that
Why,
mean?
why, why did he say that?
Um, beats the hell out of me. I asked, and he said that I'm broken.
Not too broken to fuck, but too broken to take on a date.
Yeah,
Okay, he's saying, I want to make sure I heard you right. He's saying that you don't respect him enough for him to take you out.
exactly.
I mean, so there was no clarification as to what that, like why he was saying that?
I asked him, and he said it was because I was broken, and I was just like, I don't get it. And he was like, if you don't know, if you haven't noticed by now, I've been slowly but surely dwindling down on a lot of things. And I'm like, I know that. That's why I'm bringing them to your attention. I thought it was because maybe you didn't have it, but now I'm like, you have it, you just don't want to do it. And he was like, and you know why? And I'm
But
like, oh,
I'm sorry, let me jump. At no point when him saying I'm slowly dwindling down, do you say, well, you know what? Why am I still having sex with this man who doesn't obviously want to fuck with me on a serious level? Like we started off cool as friends, we started fucking, it got serious, and then he turned, essentially you drive in 3 hours, an hour and a half, whatever each way, to get knocked down, right? Like and nothing else. Like
yeah, it
it,
made me, and this is going to sound fucking retarded, but it's the truth. It made me want to fight to get the same respect that I had beforehand. So basically, let me try to talk softer to him. Let me shut up when he talks. Let me try to understand what he's saying. If I have questions, let me think before I speak versus just blurting out the first thing that comes into mind. Let me hug him more. Let me kiss him more. Let me show him more affection. It was more so like, let me put in more work so I can try to get back what I had.
Yeah, and you know what? That part I don't have a problem with. I understand that, right? Where what I'm having trouble understanding is why you even respond like that without even real clarification for, why you're even putting forth this effort. Like that's what I'm trying to figure out. Like if he should be able to tell you, exactly why, so you know why you're doing what you're doing. Otherwise, I mean, you just you responded to his projection in a sense.
I tried to say that as well. I was like, I feel like you're projecting, like you. And he told me I was crazy for thinking it, but he told me that he has nothing to project. And I was like, I beg to differ because I keep asking you where am I going wrong? I can't fix what I can't face. And if you're not telling me what I did wrong, I can't make it right. And
Right.
he's like, he just kept telling me over and over again, I've told you before, I've told you before. Now, one thing about us, we don't eat pork. Neither one of us eats pork. And he looked at me and told me that I was trying to serve him pepperoni, basically. And I was like, sir, I don't understand your metaphors. I'm trying my best to. And he said, well, you're trying to give me something that I don't want. And I'm like,
Mm.
what am I giving you? Like, and he's like, if you don't know, then there's no point in us talking because I've told you. And I'm like, you haven't told me shit.
I mean, in reading between the lines, it seemed like he was trying to say you basically you're I don't want to move forward. I don't want to progress with you. I just want this from you, this one thing. And he didn't have the balls to tell you that directly. Uh, but it seemed like he was pretty much, just reading between the lines. So I guess if you could do this for me, honestly speaking, if you going back from the jump, at what point would you say, in hindsight, you should have just pulled the plug?
Um,
Like realistically speaking, it ain't even got to be ideal. Realistically speaking, at what point you was like this is where I really should have just ended it, but I did not.
when we were we were still friends on Facebook after we started sleeping together, and he made a post, and the post was a text thread between him and another female, and he said, "I will give you exclusivity for what?" And she texted back and said, "Peace." And he said, "Why do you say that?" And she said, "Because you told me before." And he was, and the caption was, "When she listens, make sure you keep her."
God damn.
Mm.
And I seen that when I seen that status, I brought it to his attention that I didn't like being treated like an option, and he blocked me and said, "There, I fixed the problem."
Mm.
When was this?
Yeah.
Give me months. Just 6 months ago, 5 months ago, 13 months ago.
It was like 4 months after we started talking.
Oh, so you've been blocked on his social media for 2 years.
No, he unblocked me afterwards because I was like, "You didn't fix the problem. You just stopped me from being able to see that one message or that one thread. Like, I don't feel like that's fixing the problem." I was like, "The problem is I don't want to feel like an option. Once you treat me like an option, I can treat you like one as well." And we
I mean, respectfully, everybody's an option, right? That's you're an option until they make you the priority, right? Like it's foolish for us to think we don't have options, right?
I mean,
Um,
oh, do not get me wrong. I support that 100%. We're in agreement there. But in the same breath, you don't post shit like that after you're literally telling the next person, like, "I'm telling you I'm pursuing you. I would like something serious with you." But then you turn around and you post another text thread of another female that knows you just a little bit better. And if she listens, she's a keeper. What? Like, no. Like, you don't do stuff like that. I'm like, you just don't do that. I'm like, I'm happy that you got options. Cool beans. I got them too. But you don't see me posting them. There's a level of respect that you just don't cross, and you crossed it, and then you turn around and you blocked me, and you thought that was fixing it. That's not fixing it.
So, why can if you could or if you up to it, can you explain a little bit as to why you did not end it when you kind of felt like you should have?
Because
just be honest, it's all good.
I had reached a phase where I was desperate.
Okay.
I don't want to be single. I don't
Okay.
I don't want to be a single mom. I don't want to be by myself. I don't want to sleep by myself every night. I don't want to do these things. I'm forced in a situation where I have to do these things because, of course, I'm not finna just, be with the next guy I see walking up the street and I'm like, "Okay, cool, I'm investing in this person. Like, I can see me with this person. He looks good. I like the way he talks. I like the way he walks. The way he dresses is really good. He has good sex, great sex, Lord knows it." But that's not good enough. Like,
So let's and that's what jump in if you got something else. But I want to like, what can you say to the young women and or young men out there to make sure that they don't go down the same path? Because I feel like you knew everything, right? You knew all of the things. You've got multiple points where you were like, you know what, I should have cut this shit off. I should have cut this shit off. You knew when he wasn't funding you like he used to fund you to come see him, right? When he wasn't, he's posting other chicks. He's doing like, what can you say to the other young women or to your daughters, right? Like, this is what you need. Fuck the fact that the sex is great. Okay, he looks amazing. He smells great. All the shit that other women like too, and he's exploring those options, right? Like, what information can you, if you could talk to yourself 20 years ago, if you could go back and be like, hey, listen, these are some shit you need to avoid or things you need to do different. What would you say to the younger women or a younger version of yourself to maybe possibly help them avoid the same shit that you've gone through or are going through?
every woman claims that they love themselves. Every woman says it. I love myself. But really, most women really need to sit down. Like, if you're single, like, if you're single and you tolerating shit like what I've tolerated over these past 2 years, bro, you don't fucking love yourself. and you need to really sit back and learn how.
Yeah. I think she did answer, you said a lot when you said you didn't want to sleep by yourself and didn't want to be by yourself. And you talked about not wanting to be a single mother. And what that sounds like is, not being a whole person by yourself. Is there reasons that you assessed, have you did a self-assessment to ask yourself, why is it that you can't be by yourself? Does it, what does it have something to do with past relationships, maybe with your father, or the lack thereof, or
No,
just
my dad is an amazing dad. Like that is my best friend. Like honestly, my dad is pissed off right now. My dad is so mad at me. He is so mad at me.
I'm gonna say he's disappointed, right? And I don't know your father, but I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. Answer that. My bad.
I mean, what did you see growing up? Like, I know you and your dad have a good relationship now, right? But what was the relationship between him and your mom like, if you don't mind?
He whooped my mom's ass. They didn't last. They met in 1990, had me in 91, got divorced or got married in 92, got divorced in 94. Like they didn't last. So I don't even remember. I mean, my core memories kicked in at some point in time because I remember, um, my first memory is not great of my dad. I had to call the police on my dad
Right.
because
So
of my mom that bad. But when he got married again, um, he treated that wife right, but he cheated on her. He cheated on her.
he
So
cheated. He cheated. When you say he treated her right, but he cheated on her, how? What do you mean he treat? He just didn't abuse. He didn't abuse her physically like he
yeah,
did your
he didn't
mom, right?
abuse her physically, but he abused her mentally, emotionally. Like, I remember my stepmom literally dropping me off at his mistress's house. Like,
Mm,
I mean, my dad always kept it a buck with me. Like, he didn't sugarcoat it or make it sound, pretty or nothing like that. He made it very clear. He said it off top, like, baby, I'm a man. I just want different things. I love my wife. I love Deborah. She's amazing. She's a God fearing woman. She does everything right. I'm just a fuck up. Like,
what about even after your dad? Did your mom have any relationships that you were aware of? When you growing up, what did
yeah,
you see?
my mom got back with my stepdad. They were high school sweethearts, and she got back with him, and he was a drunk, so he didn't really treat her how she was supposed to be treated, in my opinion.
Hmm. Right.
I
Do
I
you?
love my stepdad. He's cool people, but up until she passed, he didn't treat her how she was supposed to.
So let's talk about that a little bit, like, because I'm hearing you say that you appreciate and respect both your stepdad and your dad. Y'all have a good relationship, right? Even amidst you saying you witnessed them not be the best men in front of you. What is it? What is it in you that allows you to show to extend that type of grace and still have good relationships and good and fond memories of men who you just didn't see be healthy men in front of you?
I always focus on the good memories. Like
Okay.
like if we go somewhere, like even with my daughter's dad, my youngest daughter's dad,
Hmm.
like I always focus on like the good things, the
Right.
silver lining. There we go.
Right.
That's what I look at, and that's just me in general life too. I look at the silver lining of everything. I always see the positive of everything, and I don't focus too hard on the negatives. And I should, like, if someone treats you wrong, you tend to remember when someone treats
Right.
you wrong.
Yeah.
Me, I'm like, well, yeah, that hurt, but in the same breath, remember that time when we were laughing?
Yeah.
That's what I focus on versus
Yeah.
they hurt you. Like I do it in relationships, I do it in friendships, I do it. I
I
don't
mean,
know.
Yeah.
to a certain extent, right? I understand going back to Despo's original question. I understand the not wanting to be alone sleeping. I think it's natural for us as men and women to want to be paired up, but the unnatural is accepting the worst character, right? Like I think I don't know. I feel like you put certain aspects above others. What I mean by like looks, sex, quality, shit like that above decency, right? Is he a decent person, right? Because again, with the stop signs, not red flags, we heard a lot of shit that if your daughter was dating that same type of dude, you'd be like, nah, don't do that,
Oh yeah, God, yeah.
right? So I don't know. I mean, again, and excuse me if that's for interrupting. To jump
No,
back
no,
in,
it's all good. So
I mean,
what? Go
the one
ahead.
the one thing with my daughters, that I wish my mom had taught me growing up, and I don't mean this, hopefully y'all think the same way. If not, sorry. I'm gonna teach my daughters that y'all are, y'all as girls are born with a gym,
born
like
with a what,
a gym, like a GEM, like an actual
right?
gym. We're born with something that every man wants, except the gay ones.
But every woman has that. I think that's a bad thing to to focus on, right?
Very,
Because
but
It,
every single woman has that.
but
very,
it's
but in the same breath, like every look at today's women, every woman is giving it up.
at that point. At that point, I don't think you can consider it a gym. Like, are you saying that you're born with a gym prior to your virginity being given away?
Exactly, like
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
like
Innocence. You're
that,
born with innocence. Then,
like exactly. You're born with that innocence. Keep
yeah,
that
yeah.
till until you actually get married. Like my mom. Do not get me wrong. I love my mama to death. Lord knows. I still, if I had the opportunity, I would choose her again. But we did not have a sex talk. We did not have a boyfriend talk. We like my mom was so antsy on those things because
And that's old school. We a lot of people are scared to have that conversation.
yeah, and we did not have that conversation. So when I started, it was like, okay, now what? Like, what do I do now? Like she took me to the doctor. Obviously, like we went and I got my first Pap smear and shit like that. Stood there by my side, but it was like, Mom, we didn't talk about none of this. Like I was not prepared for none of life after my virginity was gone.
I think, and there's a better way to word it, but it's pussy management skills, right? Don't say that to your kids. Word it better. I think a lot of women today have poor pussy management skills, and what I mean by it is how you manage that for a lot of women has a direct impact on the quality of life you're going to have from a relationship standpoint. I think, again, I grew up in a even in my generation, right? Growing up, I used to hear different moms, shake your money maker, blah blah. So it was already wrong about how it was advertised, if you will. But I think we lack, and that's probably more of our community than others. But we lack the understanding of the value of the individual outside of sex, right? I think for a lot of us, we think sex is the biggest asset we have, and while it's a key piece, you can have the best pussy on earth if everything else about you is trash. Nobody's gonna take you, right? And probably on the flip side, if the pussy is mediocre but everything else about you is great and you've reserved it for the right folk, you'll probably end up married and happy,
I
right?
think that's the key word is reserved. Like, but because I think the problem is we've normalized premarital sex to the point where now it's just we measure the value of a woman based on like the number of partners she has, right? But like you said, if you have premarital sex with two damaged men, then you that damages you in a way that cannot be quantified. You know what I mean? Like it doesn't matter if you go celibate for the next 10 years of your life, you still gonna have to the next man is gonna have to deal with the demons that came with that.
Exactly.
So we
Uh,
need to be having a different conversation in terms of like how to like how I was saying how to manage that aspect of your life as a female. It's different with men, even though we still inherit that the negative energy that comes with the women we lay with. It still affects us differently than it affects women, right? Like a man can say, I don't like being alone, right? But it's easier for him to not be alone because he can be if he provides adequately, then it'll be easy for him to he can have several children. But if he's a provider, then he'll still be attractive to women.
but
But and it's
you also
huh?
have to remember it's easier for women to get laid than men.
it's easier for average women to get sex than it is for average men. There's a
Yeah.
certain subset of men that never struggle with sex,
Like you
right?
can, I can make a post right now and say, I'm horny, who's gonna come spend the night? And I can guarantee you I'll get way more likes and comments
Yes,
boxes than either one of you.
you're gonna get more, 100%. But if we made that post, we're gonna get more quality. If you make that post, men are trying to fuck you. If we made a post similar, there's certain women that are trying to
But
be
I
our
would get
woman,
more
right?
quantity and y'all would get more quality.
Right. So I think you're right, but and that's one of the problems I think we have not explained or taught our daughters, and I'm speaking generally, right? Enough is it. A man wanting to have sex with you means absolutely nothing, right? What does he want with you outside of sex, right? Because yes, you're right. A woman can walk down the street butt ass naked and say, "I want to have sex," and somebody's gonna put her in the car and go, right? I mean, you look at the prostitutes walking down certain streets. Motherfuckers pull up and pick them up, get in the car and fuck them and drop them off. You know what I'm saying? That's sex. There's a specific piece that a man wants, right? But when a man wants a woman as a partner, as a life partner, as a woman, as a wife, shit's totally different. Sex is a huge part of it, right? On both sides, meaning how many people or who she was with matters. I'm gonna say who more than how many because the who, like Despo said, if it's two crazy motherfuckers that was horribly damaged, that matters for him, right? Because he's got to deal with that. But the waste that again, pussy management skills, right?
But
That's
you
that's
also
what matters.
realize like back then when I first started talking to this man, or when this man first started talking to me, I made it very clear I was just in, like, starting to make my shirts, starting to make my pants, like I was getting my website, like, pretty much altered to where you could order from a website versus having to inbox me. I was doing a lot of shit that was like entrepreneurial. Like, I'm like, okay, cool. Like, I don't have to deal with this page, that page, this person, that person. They can just submit the fucking order online and then it comes straight to my email. And of course, my email is dinging. So I'm like, yay. I'm like, if you're not on your shit, please leave me alone. Like, at that point, my mind was set. I was okay. Everything felt like it was perfect. Kids Love Clothes was legitimately doing good. Unfortunately,
Yeah, but
this
if
man
you
seen that and was like, oh, okay, well, I mean, she's doing good in her entrepreneurial ways. Let me make it sound like I'm an entrepreneur too. And that's what sold me. Like,
Oh, so you think that's where it came from?
I,
He saw what you were doing and he made up some shit.
yeah, to where it was like, oh, okay, well, cool. Like she make her own money. She trying to work for herself, even though, like, yeah, I was still working at my current job at the time. And it was just like, hey, I got that money, but I also have this money that I'm falling back on, and I'm okay.
Yeah, but none of that mattered because it wouldn't have mattered if you were already a whole healed person prior to that interaction. Like you already acknowledged that it was just it's already something going on with you prior to this that won't allow you to be alone or you haven't healed from. And I think that it doesn't matter what you got going on. Anybody could you are a liability to yourself if you aren't healed.
Right. I'm all for needing him, wanting to be a wife to a man, but he's got to be the right one. You got to be able to. Something's got to be right within you to say, okay, yeah, he is a man, but he ain't the right man.
And to
Right.
be honest, if you acknowledging that the person that you were previously, you previously bared two children with is your best friend, then in all fairness to
That's a
dude,
problem.
he didn't owe you anything anyway.
That's a
I'm
problem.
sorry. No, my ex-husband is not my best friend.
No, I'm saying the dude that you just had, who would you say
Oh,
who's your best friend? Clarify
that,
that.
that was my best friend is somebody that I'd have zero kids with. Like, we don't have no kids.
But he's an
But
ex boyfriend.
he's an ex though, right?
Yeah, he's
Right,
Y'all have had sex.
yeah,
right.
basically.
And
He
he's your
does look
best
like an
friend.
ex-friend or anything, but
So
yeah.
I'm saying that on the outside looking in, me, if I'm dude
I
and
can't fuck with you.
I'm hearing all this, even then I made the mistake by putting the baby in you. I made the mistake because you you could have never been who
You
I
belong to
wanted you to.
somebody else.
You belong to somebody else. That based on what you yourself said. You may not realize that. I don't think a lot of women do, but that's how we see it.
Mm.
Because I mean, so let me ask you this: is there a reason why you not with your best friend?
We're better off as friends.
Hey, I'm gonna let y'all continue, bro. I gotta run and do something, so I'm gonna let you. Matter of fact, I know this is. I hate to do this right now, but something just came up. I gotta take care of it, so I'm gonna drop out. Just shoot me a message when y'all done. I'm gonna let y'all wrap.
Okay.
All right, bet.
Cool.
Wait, if he leaves, when do we get off live?
When I end it,